This time we are back hunting for PlayStation 2 Platinum games in a town which I believe could be the best town for retro game hunting here in the UK. But let's just say, things don't exactly go to plan. Folks, so welcome back to the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. My challenge for 2024 is to try and find every single PAL-released PlayStation 2 Platinum game. And with just under 70 games left to find, I'm pulling out the big guns this episode. We are visiting a town which I believe in my heart of hearts is the best town in the whole of the UK for retro and modern game hunting. And trust me, I think this time we're going to find some awesome games. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. And if you ever miss an episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, fear not, I'll link them all down below in a playlist. And if you want to go above and beyond and really support the channel even more, please consider becoming a supporter over on Patreon. It's just £1 a month, and I hope for that £1 I give you a lot of extra bonus content, extra videos, and even games for sale from my personal collection. First off, I want to talk about the PlayStation Platinum Project, which was my challenge for 2023 to try and find all 160 PAL-released PlayStation 1 Platinum games. Now, in the last episode, Sebastian sent us this package, and this was a game which I never managed to find for the PlayStation Platinum Project. And when I opened this, there was a little jokey bit in here about Dino Crisis 2, which if you've been a fan of the series for a long while, you will really understand. But after watching the episode, Sebastian sent me a message and a video. And in this video, he explained something which I somehow missed. I believed that Sebastian had sent me the back cover, the manual and the disc for Tomb Raider Chronicles, when in fact, hiding underneath that jokey Dino Crisis 2 cover was the front cover of the game also. So I am amazed and so happy to announce that I have a complete copy of Tomb Raider Chronicles for the PlayStation 1, the Platinum release. This is a game which has eluded me for around 18 months, and thank you, Sebastian, for sending me this complete copy of the game. We are starting off the hunt this time in the town of King's Lynn, which, pound for pound, I believe in my heart of hearts, could be the best town for retro and modern game hunting here in the UK. It is packed with some of the best independent gaming stores and also one of the best CEX stores I've ever been to. Yes, it's a bold statement, but let's just hope that King's Lynn delivers. We're starting off our hunt this time in some of the many charity shops that King's Lynn has to offer. And here's the thing, as we all know by now, charity shop hunting all comes down to luck. And thankfully, with the first charity shop here, we have lucked out. Loads of games on the shelf here. All of these games were 2 for £5. It was mainly Xbox 360 games, but yes, there was PlayStation 2 games and especially PlayStation 2 Platinum games. The unfortunate thing was, it was a Platinum game which we ironically found in the last episode. So I did leave that one behind, but off to a good start. At least we're finding games. So the next charity shop did have video games, but it was a very small selection, mainly kind of filler titles, and unfortunately, once again, no PlayStation 2 Platinum games which I needed for the collection, but at least there was one Platinum game here, even though it was The Sims. In this final charity shop right here, we did once again find some PlayStation 2 Platinum games, but unfortunately there were games I already had for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. But for the price, these were pretty decent games, especially Burnout 2, but I was hoping with our next store we'd have more luck finding Platinum games. And that next store was new, but this is why research is paramount when you are out game hunting. I turned up on a day which it was unfortunately closed. Thankfully, just down the road is the Retro Retreat, one of my favourite independent gaming stores here in the east of England. Every time I visit here, I find something absolutely incredible. This store has one of the best displays I've ever seen. I absolutely love the glass cabinets of dreams in here, and this store is stacked from floor to ceiling with some of the best retro and modern video games anywhere. Right off the bat, we have a Platinum heavy hitter here, Silent Hill 2 Director's Cut for £47. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I picked up some amazing games while I was here, so stay tuned for a future episode. But for now, let's head to the PlayStation 2 section. The Retro Retreat has an absolutely vast PlayStation 2 selection. And truth be told, I did speak to the owner who said they were trying to get more PlayStation 2 games in, especially PlayStation 2 Platinum games. As they said themselves, they are sorely lacking these at the moment. So I was crossing both my fingers and my toes, hoping I can find some PlayStation 2 Platinum games which we needed here. And I always make sure I check behind some of these games at the front, because we're still looking for quite a few of the iPlay games, which is quite surprising. You wouldn't think they'd be that hard to find just because of the numbers made. And I was starting to worry a little bit here. I am not seeing any Platinum games which I need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. But I suppose this is the thing when you go game hunting. You roll the dice and hopefully you come across something. And so far in King's Lynn, we are not having the best of luck. But here's the thing with luck, it can change at any time. I thought that Spyro was quite interesting just because the spine was a very different colour. But unfortunately this time, it seems our luck isn't in. No games to cross off the list. We have one last chance here in King's Lynn, and that is the King's Lynn branch of CEX. And I've said it before, this is one of the best CEX stores I have ever visited. It has some of the largest selections of games of any CX I've ever been to. And the PlayStation 2 section is no different. This PlayStation 2 section is absolutely massive. It is without a shadow of a doubt one of the biggest PlayStation 2 sections in any CEX store I've ever been to. And once again, I had both my fingers and my toes crossed that we could find some games here which we needed for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Now, sometimes I do forget which games I'm looking for, so I do pull some games off the shelf that we already have. I'm looking for the Getaway Black Monday. That's still one I haven't come across. And here is a game which I thought we needed, but it's actually the first FIFA Street. It's always important to check the list. I always check it once, check it twice, just to be sure. Like I said then, this PlayStation 2 section is vast. We are only up to H. And unfortunately, this isn't a Harry Potter game which we still need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. There's 2 more Harry Potter games we need, and that unfortunately isn't one of them. And I'm still scrolling through here. This is one of the easier things about hunting for Platinum games. If the spines are sideways, you can find them easily. And this is a game I've been looking for ages. And we find 2 copies at once. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. I cannot believe it's taken me this long to find a copy of this. And then straight away we're onto another one. Need for Speed Carbon. As I said, luck can change on a penny. On one shelf, we've managed to find 2 Platinum games which we need to cross off the list. But we ain't done yet. I'm hoping we can cross even more off in CX here in King's Lynn. But at least we've found 2 games. We're coming to the end of this frankly ginormous PlayStation 2 section here in CX and King's Lynn. And so far we've managed to find 2 PlayStation 2 Platinum games, which honestly surprises me. I said at the start of this video, for my money, I believe that King's Lynn is one of the best places to retro and modern game hunt in the UK, and honestly I thought it's going to be finding a lot more games. But at the end of the day, even crossing 2 games off the list is still a win. As we get deeper and deeper and further into the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, these games are going to get harder and harder to find. And we're not even thinking about the games that CEX no longer sell. So at the end of the day, I'd had an amazing day of game hunting. We've managed to find 2 Platinum games to cross off the list. And like I said, trust me, King's Lynn is still one of the very best places to retro and modern game hunt, as you'll soon find out in a future video. That did not go as planned. We started off on the back foot. Once Was New was closed. That is my fault. I should have done my research, but I was very limited as to which day I could go to King's Lynn for this hunt, and it's just bad luck they were closed on that day. But trust me, I will be back in the future. But all was not lost. Just down the road was the Retro Retreat, an absolutely incredible independent gaming store. But unfortunately, on this trip, they did not have any PlayStation 2 Platinum games which I needed for the collection. But trust me, they have an absolutely incredible array of games from all ages, and stay tuned for a future episode as I managed to pick up some amazing bits from there. So we had one last chance to hit up CEX in King's Lynn, which historically I have said is one of the best CEX stores I've ever been to. And once again, stay tuned for a future episode, as not only do they have an incredible PlayStation 2 selection, they also have the biggest Xbox 360 section of any CEX. But back to PlayStation 2, we were in luck. We managed to find 2 PlayStation 2 Platinum games which I needed to cross off the list, and they were 2 absolute bangers. Need for Speed Carbon and Metal Gear Solid 2. But here's the problem, neither of those games had the correct discs. They both had the standard versions of the discs, not the Platinum version, and thus I had to leave them behind. But I stick by what I say. Kings Lynn is pound for pound still one of the best towns, if not the best town in the UK for retro and modern game hunting, and trust me, in a future episode I will prove that fact to you folks watching. So unfortunately I'd had no luck in Kings Lynn, but let's hope I can find some Platinum games at the car boot. And over the past few weeks I've been hitting up as many car boots as possible. And yes, I have found Platinum games, but unfortunately, I haven't managed to find any Platinum games which I need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Honestly, I thought all along I'd be finding a lot of these Platinum games at car boots, and I do see them, but I'm guessing I'm just seeing games that are common and that we've already crossed off the list. But I won't stop hunting at the car boot because I know, pound for pound, this is one of the best ways to pick up cheap PlayStation 2 Platinum games and every other kind of video game. And at the end of the day, it is early in the summer. There is going to be a lot more car boots, and even if I find one Platinum game a week at the car boots, it makes it worthwhile. For me, the car boots are the most fun way to hunt for video games, and even though it involves getting up early on a Sunday morning, I wouldn't change it for the world. So no Platinum games, but still great hunting. It seemed then that I had tapped every resource which I had to try and find PlayStation 2 Platinum games. I had no luck in the independent gaming store I visited. I had no luck in the CEX store I visited. I didn't even manage to find anything in any of the charity shops or the car boot, which honestly, at the start of this challenge, I thought I was going to have a lot more luck, especially at car boots. Now, normally at this point, I would have jumped on eBay and found some of these games just so I had some to cross off the list. But here's the thing, I was so confident that I was going to find Platinum games which I needed in Kings Lynn. I have not bought any games off eBay this time. Theoretically, I have a set budget for each month for game hunting, and I set a large portion of that budget aside for PlayStation 2 Platinum games. And unfortunately, this month, I just presumed wrongly I was going to find more of these games out in the wild, because honestly, that's how I prefer to find them, and I'm sure how you prefer to watch me find them rather than jumping on eBay. But I think as we get deeper and deeper into this challenge, there's probably going to be more games which I have to pick up off eBay. That's because, of course, as we all know, these are the PAL released PlayStation 2 games, and a lot of these are not available here in the UK. But we're not going to end this episode on a downer. One thing has been a consistent throughout this series, and that is how much you, viewers of the channel, have helped out. And thankfully, once again, this time you have come in and saved the day, as I've managed to trade, buy, and have donated some amazing games from you viewers for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. This right here just amazes and humbles me just every single time. The amount of people that have helped me with the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 just warms my heart. It just shows the power of the retro gaming community here in the UK and further afield. It is such a feel-good thing to have all of you along for the ride and helping with this journey. And once again, we have some amazing games from you viewers right here to add to the collection. Let's jump into our first package right here then, and this is from a viewer who has helped out numerous times in the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. This is from Sean, who's helped out with some amazing games and has once again got out of his way to hunt these games down for me for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. So let's rip this one open. As always, this is packaged so lovingly as I rip it asunder, and this one is a bit of a strange one. So we have 4 games here. So first off, we have 2 copies of MTV Music Generator 2, because why not? Why have one when you can have 2? But not just that, we have not 1 but 2 copies of MotoGP 3. That's because Sean reached out and said he ordered one of these off eBay it never turned up, so he ordered another copy. And then, of course, because why not, the other copy turned up. So thank you, Sean, for all of these games. And eBay's mistake is your game. So remember, at the end of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, I'm going to be giving away a massive collection of doubles which I've built up throughout the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. And one lucky winner will be taking on the torch and continuing the hunt for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Our next package is from Foster, who reached out on Instagram to say he had 2 games which I needed for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. And if you ever have any games which you think I might need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, please hit me up on my socials. Now, the first game in here is somewhat ironic, as Foster has sent me a copy of MotoGP 3. Now, I do struggle sometimes to keep track of which games I've already got and who is sending me what, so apologies both to Foster and Sean for this one, but once again this will be going into the doubles pile. But fear not, we have another game in here from Foster, and this is a game which has eluded me for a while. So this was a game I originally ordered on eBay and it never turned up. Like I said, these things happen. It seems to be a bit of a theme this episode, and that is Kingdom Hearts 2. I can't actually believe it's taken this long to find this game, and this is a really good one to cross off the list. It's of course complete with the Platinum disc, and most importantly we have a note. So this from Foster says, "Hey dude, here are the 2 Platinum games you needed. Keep hunting, I know you'll get them all this year. Love the channel and all you do." Thank you very much, Foster, and thank you for helping me cross these games off the list. Next up, we have not 1 but 2 deliveries from a viewer of the channel, Adam, who managed to find 2 PlayStation 2 Platinum games which I needed for my collection while he was out game hunting. And it's amazing how many people are looking out for these PlayStation 2 Platinum games while they are hunting. And let's jump straight into this first one right here, as he has sent me some bona fide bangers. And first up, we have a game which is just, it's so good. Need for Speed Underground 2. Now, strangely, this is one of the more expensive PlayStation 2 Platinum games that CEX sell. I'm always happy to send payment if anyone finds any of these games which I need out in the wild. And what else is there to say about Need for Speed Underground 2? One of the greatest racing games, not just on the PlayStation 2, but of all time, and without a doubt, one of the greatest gaming soundtracks ever. Here is the second game which Adam has sent for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, and the final game we are crossing off our list this time, and it does come with a note, which reads thus: "Hey Dan, I remembered to enclose a note this time after forgetting to include one in my last game I'd sent, Need for Speed Underground 2. Once again, banger. I managed to get this off a mate at work with a few other games I needed for my own collection. It was bought in a bundle of about 7 games, and this one has been purchased from overseas. Now remember, all of these PlayStation 2 Platinum games are from the PAL region, but PAL doesn't necessarily mean the UK. It can mean games from Europe and Australia. It does have German menus and subtitles, but does have English audio. It can now sit proudly in your collection, and it will. Keep hunting those Platinums, brother. I'll keep my eyes peeled here in leafy Staffordshire for any more you need. Cheers, Adam." And this game right here is again a banger. It is True Crime New York City. It is of course complete with the Platinum disc and the manual. And here's the most interesting thing. On the back, this does have the Union Jack, meaning it's for sale in the UK, but not for supply in the UK. This is a very, very strange one. And thank you so much to Adam for sending me this one, as I feel this one could have been very hard to find for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. I have said all along the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 isn't just about collecting games, it is about playing games. Whether for the first time ever or for the first time in years, experiencing some of the best games that PlayStation 2 has to offer. And this game right here, Need for Speed Underground 2, isn't just one of the greatest PlayStation 2 games of all time, it is without a doubt one of the best racing games ever made. Let's go back and experience this absolute banger. We are back playing without a shadow of a doubt. We are revisiting without a shadow of a doubt one of the best racing games of all time. And other than the soundtrack, which unfortunately I've had to mute for copyright reasons, the other reason so many people love this game is the relatable cars. Being able to take a family hatchback and just absolutely rack it round a course is one of the most fun parts of this game. Just being able to believe that you could take your very first car when you're like 17 and drive like this is just an absolute incredible experience and a dream that I'm sure so many of our teenage selves wanted to make a reality. And of course, one of the best parts of Need for Speed Underground 2 is customizing your cars. And one of the first cars I ever owned was a Ford Focus. So let's see if we can change this one up a little bit here. We want to make this look a little bit more mean for the race. Yep, that looks like a good part there. Let's get a nice little bit of rear bumper action on here. Yep, nice and done. Bit of side skirts because who needs to worry about speed bumps when we're racing through the city at full whack. Spoilers are unfortunately locked to this part of the game, which is a real shame. Can we get some different tail lights? Yeah, we just need to put some different lights. But the main thing, of course, is the rims. We definitely need some different rims on here. What are we going to go for? Yes, some of these rims here. Change them up. Doesn't look like we've got many rims unlocked at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. So, yeah, they look good. Let's stick them on. Nicely done. And what else do we need? Important parts of a car. Oh, the body kit's unfortunately locked at the moment, which is a shame, but we do need to change the paint because when I had my Ford Focus back in the day, it was, of course, black. So I think we're looking pretty good. I think we're about ready to race. We've got our car ready to go. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's jump into a race. Here we go then, on the mean streets at night, ready for our first race back in absolutely years. And the first thing I always want to do is change that angle because I really hate driving at the in-car view, and this game still looks super cool. I just love the fact the way the city is lit up at night with all the neon. It just looks so incredibly cool. It is a real shame we haven't got the soundtrack for this one, but it's just such a memory going back and playing this game. And this is my favourite kind of race on here, the kind of point-to-point races, because I do enjoy circuit racing, but I just kind of like the fact you can just kind of go around the city. And I just remember certain bends on this game, like I remember going round this corner and I just have such fond memories of this game. It's just such a cool game, and just slowly building your way up through the ranks and just unlocking better cars, and even just sticking. What I normally used to do is just stick with the same car and just make it ridiculous, just change the engine out, just make like a Ford Focus that could do like 200 miles an hour. It was just so good, just being able to live that kind of teenage dream of just racing around the streets at night, just without the slight issue of being arrested or just writing off your first car. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think most of us were probably on our parents' insurance back then, so probably writing off our family car wasn't really that advisable. But this was just such a good game. The feel of street racing, just making your cars your own, and the soundtrack was just absolutely sublime. And I just don't feel like they make racing games like this anymore. Even the Need for Speed games don't feel like this anymore. There's something about the Need for Speed franchise at this time where it just couldn't do any wrong. It was absolute perfection, and I just hope at some point in the future Need for Speed goes back to this, back to its roots, back to racing on the streets, and back to the way that Need for Speed used to be. There we are then, folks. Thanks to you viewers, we have 5 PlayStation 2 and 1 PlayStation 1 Platinum games to cross off the list. And here's the thing with game hunting, sometimes it just doesn't go to plan. But at the end of the day, it's all about the thrill of the hunt and crossing these games off the list. But here's the thing, in this list, therein lies the problem. But before we talk about the problem, I want to jump into part of the solution. And there is a franchise which we need to get crossed off this list. It is one of the biggest franchises on this list. And before the next episode, I'm declaring a war on FIFA. That's right, folks. I'm declaring a war on FIFA. In the next episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, I want to cross every FIFA game off the list. And I think this is a realistic goal. And I want to end this chapter of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 and finish the FIFA franchise. We already have the hardest game to find thanks to my good friend Lucy. And we only have a few FIFA games to cross off the list. So now more than ever, if you manage to find any of these FIFA games in the wild or for sale online, or you have them in your collection, please get in touch. And hopefully in the next episode we can complete the war on FIFA. Here is the list which I've used so far for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, and like I said, herein lies the problem. This is the list of 256 PlayStation 2 Platinum games which make up the collection to the best of my knowledge. But so far, we have already found games which are not on the list, which has affected the numbers. So in this episode we found 5 games, which means theoretically we have 61 left to find. But our total number of games I've been counting as games we have found. Which means on this list, it doesn't include the games which are not on the list, of course. So that means on this list is more than 61 games left to find. So we're doing well, don't get me wrong, but we still have more games left to find. And before the next episode, I will be advertising these games, rewriting this list with the extra games we have found, and trying to work out the number of games we still have left to find. And again, herein lies the problem. As I learned from the PlayStation Platinum Project, there may be games on this list which do not exist. And at the halfway point, I'm kind of taking stock of where we're at. Don't get me wrong, we are smashing this challenge, but I believe the greatest challenges lie ahead. There we have it then, folks. That's another episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, and this episode marks a milestone as we are over halfway through 2024 and thus over halfway through the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. We have less than 6 months to find these last remaining games, and find them we will. I will continue my hunt all around the UK. I will be jumping on eBay and online to find some of these rarer import games, and hopefully you folks will join me and maybe even help me find these last remaining games. Trust me, we will together complete the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time, let the games begin. See you soon.